Hello, everyone, and welcome to the What's New for Mobile Vancouver webinar. My name is David Ha, and I'm an outbound product manager here at ServiceNow. And today we'll be covering a quick overview on all the things that are new for mobile in Vancouver, and I'll give a deep dive into some of these features. For the folks who do stick around until the end, we'll open up to some Q&A and answer any questions that do come up along the way as well. And so here is mobile platforms release highlights in a nutshell. You can see that we have some highlights for this release spanning across client features like dark mode versus out-of-the-box features like mobile playbooks, and then some mobile platform features like calendar enhancements. But instead of taking you through each one of these feature by feature, I figured it might be more helpful if we took you through them layer by layer. And this is to help people who are more new to mobile. This is a more technical overview of what our platform has to offer as we dive into each of our client and platform capabilities. And by the end of this, you should be up to date on all of our latest Vancouver features. But I think with this visual, it gives you a bit more clarity on what's being released and how it relates to the overall mobile platform. And just to set context in case you're unfamiliar, what you are looking at is a diagram of our mobile platform. This is an overview of all the clients, the workflows, and the capabilities that our platform has to offer as of today. At the top layer, we typically start with our end user workflows. These are what we call out-of-the-box apps that our ServiceNow business units build and deliver to our customers. And customers will typically start here when they begin their mobile implementations and many of their discussions as well. They'll check out what's available out of the box, and then they'll tweak them to their liking using our mobile developer tools. But these are the workflows that populate our two native clients on the second layer in the middle there for ServiceNow agents and the Now Mobile client. It's important to understand that these two clients are really just empty containers at the end of the day. It's not until you install an out-of-the-box plugin like ITSM agents or field service agents, or on the Now Mobile side, you have employee service delivery. Once you have those plugins installed, it then populates that data and the content inside of those client containers. So, when customers are talking about ServiceNow agents, they're likely talking about a workflow for ITSM agents, field service, IT asset management, or something else. And when we're talking about Now Mobile, it's typically that base system plugin that they're referring to, which is employee service delivery or possibly HR service delivery. And Now Mobile is just a container for those workflows. And again, if there is any tweaking that needs to be done to some of these out-of-the-box workflows, what you can use is our mobile platform's developer tools and the platform components that customize those solutions to your needs. This is where the final and third layer comes in. This is also where majority of new features will live in as well. It's the mobile capabilities and platform components that we are building for our ServiceNow business unit teams so that they can create better out-of-the-box experiences for you, for everyone to use. And as we are investing into our developer tools, we're trying to make the admin and citizen developer experience easier to manage, easier to build those mobile experiences, and for you to be able to customize those experiences. So again, this is a great visual to help guide folks on what we're talking about when we mention new client updates, new workflows, new developer tools, or new mobile capabilities. So this is good to keep in mind as we go through our overview. Okay, so starting with the first layer, you have your end user workflows. So what is that? These are all the out-of-the-box workflows that are available on each client as of the August store release. Now, why August? Typically, when out-of-the-box apps have updates, they take place through the ServiceNow store, and the cadence of store releases today is every 3 months. So that's August, that's November, that's February, that's May, and then again, you come back to August. And this list will continue to expand and update with each family and store release. There are some apps that get updated through the ServiceNow store. Again, that take place quarterly. In fact, majority, if not almost all of these apps are now updated through the store. But you do have a few other that do get updated through the family release, and that takes place biannually. Okay, so if it is a fulfiller workflow, then out of the box, it will live on the agent client. And if it's an employee workflow, then it will live on the right side on the Now Mobile client. You have your fulfiller workflows on the left, and then you have employee-driven workflows on the right. Um, Depending on what products you are entitled to on the platform, if there is a mobile experience for it, then it will automatically be available for you to use. A question that comes up a lot often is, are there any entitlements that I need to use any of these out-of-the-box apps? And I think the fair rule to always go by is mobile is just an extra layer for you to take advantage of. And so if you're already entitled on the platform side, for example, ITSM, field service, CSM, if there's a mobile experience, then you will also get access to that. But mobile doesn't give you special privileges, right? Just because you might be, an HR pro customer, that doesn't automatically entitle you to other products. It's what products do you have today? And if there's a mobile experience, then that's what you'll get access to on your instance. Okay, so Vancouver updates. With the Vancouver release, there's been a couple updates on the agent side. For field service mobile agents, they've incorporated playbooks, which is a new platform feature that they're using to improve their equipment assignment process. And then I've also found that there's a new mobile app on the agent side as well called Field Service Contractor app. And I believe they've enhanced their search experience to incorporate work order tasks. They've added questionnaires and inventory workflows inside of their apps. On the Now Mobile side, you see that there's also a new app for Concur approvals. There's a new plugin that is an integration with Concur, and it can fetch reports and expenses. It will take that metadata for you to be able to take approvals on for your task. So these are just a few enhancements and new apps that I can report on as of the August store release. If there's any of these apps that apply to you, I recommend the very first step is always to check out the product docs. And if you need more information or if you're looking for a demo of some sort, then please reach out to your account team, and so that they can reach out to that specific product team for them to walk you through some of these experiences. Okay. I saw that there was a hand raised a little bit earlier. If you can go ahead and submit your questions through the chat or through the Q&A, we'll definitely answer them along the way. What is ESM Concur approvals? Is that SAP Concur? I believe that is correct. I don't have the full details. I would recommend, again, checking out the product details on product docs. And if you're looking for guidance on how to install and implement, your account team should be able to take you to the right product team to have that discussion. Okay. So these are just some visuals to show you what I mean by out-of-the-box experiences. For mobile agent, these are just some of the common experiences that customer will start with. Right, you'll start with ITSM or field service as a starting point, and then they'll see what's available out of the box, and they'll check it out. They'll look at a demo, and then if there's any gaps from what the out of the box doesn't provide them, then they'll use App Builder to fill in those gaps. Right. On the Now Mobile side, customers typically start with the base system functionality, which is the employee service delivery experience. This is what gives your employees access to their tasks, requests, KB articles, catalogs out of the box. And if you're on the latest employee center experience, then you'll get that out of the box on mobile. And you're seeing that, they're further improving the current experience by adding things like Concur approvals. If there's any particular experience or persona that you want to check out, we do have something available. Now, this doesn't quite give you the out-of-the-box experience demo, but the intention of this demo experience was to give customers some sort of app to look through to get you an idea of the art of the possible. Like, what are the different experiences that I can possibly incorporate within my own environment? And so if you were to install any one of our apps, either the Now Mobile app or the agent clients through the App Store, you'll find at the login screen that there's a button at the bottom of the login screen that says try with a demo account. And with that button, you can launch into any one of these personas here, from the employee persona to field service or something else. As of Vancouver, there's not any updates to these demo experiences, but I know that this is something that we're working on and will come out with an update very soon. Okay. But again, what's most important here is we often find that when customers figure out what is possible, then it's just a matter of reverse engineering what experiences they want on their mobile app. And so this is what I've found helpful for customers to go through. Okay. Some other questions. What is the best way to separate HR and IT um, for the now mobile end user experience? So that is quite a common question that we get from customers. We found many different scenarios where customers might have an IT instance and then they'll have an HR instance. I think the first thing we always ask is there any intention on your current roadmap to incorporate those experiences into one? Because it doesn't really make sense to tell an end user, you have to go here for your specific HR KBs, and then you go here for your IT KBs, right? And so we always encourage that when you're thinking of a mobile deployment, that you're trying to work with both your HR teams and IT teams to build one single consolidated experience. So that is the ideal approach. Now, there are many other paths that you can go through. For that one use case, if you have two instances for two BUs, we do have a feature that allows you to switch instances seamlessly without having to log out or log in. So we do provide a lot of workarounds. I would recommend, having that conversation with either your IT team or your HR team. They should be able to guide you on the best approach depending on what your environment is currently today. But again, the best guidance, we always recommend how do you build one consolidated experience so that your end user, they don't have to think about, is my question an HR question or is it an IT question? It's really, I'm just looking for an answer and I don't want to go through all these hoops just to get there. Okay. So that wraps up the first layer of our platform deep dive for end user workflows on the very top. The second layer I'll quickly go through are all the different clients. There's not much updates happening here, and so we'll speed through this. But just to refresh people, if you happen to be new to mobile, typically when customers deploy our mobile apps, they'll stick to using our public clients in the iOS App Store and the Google Play Store. And again, there's two clients. We have Agent for the fulfiller, and then Now Mobile for the employee. But we also do offer public MAM wrapped clients. Mobile app management is what I mean by MAM for Microsoft Intune and BlackBerry Dynamics. And these are really for customers who currently have app management capabilities today by some sort of MAM provider. And that you're really just looking to find how do you enforce your policies into your ServiceNow mobile apps. For example, if a customer uses Microsoft Intune today, they can use their Azure account to manage their employee devices and apps. And with some additional configurations, they can do things like apply their Azure protection policies or maybe configure a default authentication browser for their ServiceNow mobile apps before they distribute these apps to their end users. As of Vancouver, there's no updates here. So this is all general public information. Mobile publishing. We also offer custom branded clients with mobile publishing. This is our premium white label service that allows customers to create, submit, and approve custom public versions of our ServiceNow mobile apps under your own brand name. And so you can do things like have your own unique app name, custom splash screen, and custom app icon. I think the main question is like, does mobile publishing apply to me? And so we tried to configure a FAQ on this to help guide you through a list of questions to see whether or not this even is relevant to you at all. And so I would recommend checking out our mobile FAQ on community that will take you through some of those initial questions. And it will hopefully answer your question whether this is important to you or not. Okay. If you just go to mobile community and click on FAQs, you'll find the mobile publishing ones. As of Vancouver, no updates. I think the last update to publishing was in May, the last store release. And the only enhancement we did there was we disabled the ability for you to publish onboarding apps because that's a deprecated app. Moving on to the third and final layer of our platform, it's the individual capabilities, mobile components, and tooling that we build to enable our business unit teams to build their mobile apps. And I like to start with the mobile developer tools first. These are all the developer tools that are available on the platform today. It's been a continuous initiative of ours to continue investing into our developer persona so that our customers can more easier build, configure, and manage their ServiceNow mobile apps. You have the mobile app builder, which is the configuration tool for you to use, for you to build and configure your data, screens, and actions that make up the workflows in your ServiceNow mobile apps. You have the mobile card builder, which allows you to customize cards and templates to visualize your ServiceNow record data. And then you have publishing to create custom versions of our ServiceNow mobile apps in case branding is super important to you, or maybe you need full control on how you distribute your app to your end users, whether through a private store or if you want it to be publicly in the iOS or Android Play Store. You have user experience analytics, which provides you with out-of-the-box dashboards on your mobile usage and adoption metrics. And then lastly, you have mobile SDK. This is a pro developer tool that allows customers to embed ServiceNow workflows into your own app. And so mobile SDK is something that we're trying to promote. In fact, this is something that's coming out GA with the next store release in November. We plan on making this generally available to all customers. And this is really going to apply to if you currently have your own mobile app today and you're simply trying to incorporate some of your ServiceNow workflows into your existing app. So what does this mean, and does this apply to you? Typically, this will only be relevant to you if you currently have a mobile development team, right? A native app team, an Android team that can manage a build like this. We found that customers, the primary use cases for something like this is maybe you want to embed our virtual agent into your mobile app, or if you simply want to take a few employee use cases like how do I get KPs and catalogs into my own app, or how do I bring over approvals. So it's really not, you're not trying to build an entirely new ServiceNow mobile app. You're simply trying to incorporate a few workflows from the app today. We're exposing all the APIs so that it's available to you. And if you're trying to enhance your current corporate app today, you can do that. If you're looking for more information, feel free to reach out to your account teams. This is something that we're trying to heavily promote, and it will be publicly available to all customers as of the November release. Okay. Vancouver updates for mobile app builder. The biggest update here is that with the store updated in August, we now have configuration support for all platform components up to Vancouver. What this means is mobile app builder was always trying to find full feature parity with the platform. App builder was something that we released like 2 or 3 years ago, and it took some time for us to catch up on all the features. But as of today, everything that you can configure on the platform, you should be able to do inside App Builder. And so there should not be a lot of that switching between the platform UI and then back into the App Builder, because there's some use cases or some features that you couldn't access. You should find that majority of everything that you're trying to do should be able to be completed inside of this single view on App Builder. Okay. There's also a new feature that allows you to duplicate records, where you can reuse components like list screens or functions to save you time in your mobile builds. It will copy both the parent and children records in the same scope, or if you want to duplicate it into a different scope, that's totally possible as well. It depends on how you're managing in your custom mobile configuration today. And so just to give a quick example, if you had a list screen that contains a record screen and then also had some functions and UI rules in it, with just a click of a button, you would be able to duplicate all those components. That way you have a starting template to configure from if you're trying to implement a new workflow. Okay. What APIs are available for ServiceNow mobile app development? I believe we're offering a data SDK, we have a virtual agent SDK. There's a couple other SDKs that I can't think of off the top of my head, but just know that in the November release, we'll make all that information available on the product docs. Okay. Is there any option to build for consent forms in this release, or needs some sort of idea to create consent forms? I need a better description on what you were trying to do for consent forms. I do know that in an upcoming release, that terms and conditions, that is a super important use case to a lot of our customers. And so we are trying to build out that experience in an upcoming release, but I will need a bit more details for what you're trying to do with consent. Mobile card builder. With this latest version, we're now making UI rules much easier to configure inside your on your cards card builder. We are now offering condition builders, so you no longer have to write out text values and look through product docs for definitions on how to use that. It's now a lot more intuitive with a simple point and click. You can see all the available options as you're building them out. We've also improved the quality of card previews, which are now representative. They're more representative of the type of cards that users view on their mobile device. And so, when you're scrolling through some of your card previews on Card Builder, you'll know immediately what kind of card it is. And then lastly, we've also added support for date time fields using UI rules, as well as text decorators when applying UI rules to cards. This was a previous gap from our legacy UI styles, but just know that we're now finally supporting these use cases as of the August store release. Okay. And as mentioned earlier, there's not any August update for mobile publishing, but as of March 22nd, we did remove the capability to request onboarding builds from your mobile publishing forms, since this is a deprecated app, so it's no longer relevant. Okay. Okay, so skipping on to the meat of this release, moving on to the remainder items of this final layer of our mobile platform. This is typically what we focus on when we release major mobile platform features. But what it is you have all the individual capabilities and mobile components that we build to enable our BU teams. This is typically the layer that we talk about when we release new features. These are just some of the pre-existing platform capabilities, things like screens, functions, and policies. But here's our first release for Vancouver. We have mobile App Bridge Playbook support. Now, this one's a little bit complicated, so let me break down and give you some context on what this is exactly. First is, I want to explain 4 concepts before I dive in here. You maybe heard of it by passing, or you might have heard of it, you didn't really know what it was, but let me first explain what Cabrillo is. Cabrillo is a client-side JavaScript API for accessing native capabilities on web pages within our ServiceNow mobile apps. You also have UI Builder, which is the tool for building ServiceNow web pages for fulfillers. And then you also have UXF, otherwise known as User Experience Framework. And that is the underlying metadata and framework in which the UI Builder lives in. And then lastly, you have Playbooks, which is a workflow automation capability on the platform. And that provides you step-by-step guidance for resolving processes and allows agents to easily manage the lifecycle of the case. Now, these terms might be foreign to you, or maybe they're terms that you're familiar with because these are products that you're using on the platform today. This will only apply to you if you're currently using these products today. So that's the audience that I'm trying to explain this to right now. With the 4 concepts in mind, what we introduced in Vancouver is what we're calling the mobile app bridge. This is a platform capability that adds Cabrillo support to enable UXF pages hosted within embedded web pages in our ServiceNow mobile apps to access native mobile functionality. And with this capability, it allows for teams to build playbook features as an embeddable web component in our native apps. And since we built it as a platform feature, Any BU or any customer can configure their own UXF pages containing these platform playbook components uh, in UI Builder, and you can display them as a web page on our mobile apps. If I were to simplify all of this, then I would simply say we've added Cabrillo support for customers to configure playbooks on their web pages, and you can display those web pages in our ServiceNow mobile apps. If this isn't relevant to you whatsoever, then you can totally skip this feature. But if that is important to you, then just know that this is something we're now allowing. Field service management is one of the first teams to take advantage of this feature, in which they've incorporated their own playbook workflows inside of their app. And so if you're looking for an example or a demo of this, I'd recommend checking out their app for a hands-on demo. The question, what do you use in the hybrid mobile framework to access native features on the platform, like scanning with a camera, for example? So that is, on the Cabrillo side, that is a feature that you can make use of, actually. If you wanted to scan with the barcode on a web page, that is a Cabrillo API capability that's possible today. That's not new. That's an pre-existing capability. But just know that we do have docs on it. If you look up ServiceNow mobile Cabrillo APIs, you'll see all the features that we support on web pages. Okay. Next, we have mobile dark theming. This is pretty straightforward. Customers wanted theming alignment between platform and mobile, and so we've introduced a new theming variant that allows users to quickly switch into dark mode. And you can do this through the settings of your app. This will change both your native and web screens into dark mode. I haven't run into any component that's had dark mode issues, but just know that the intention is that dark mode will support all native screens. It'll support all embedded web pages. It'll apply to your virtual agents, as well as charts and dashboards. Okay. Mobile application language selector. So to provide some context, if localization applies to you at all, localization of the native app requires two sources today. Changing the app's language, which is the client side, and then you have to change your instance language, which is on the server side. The app's language controls the device's language preferences, which includes things like local screen titles, like the titles on your settings, and local button titles, like clear all. And then you have your instance language, which is controlled the same way as desktop's web localization. And those will include things like field labels, web content, and other data stored on the server as a translated field. What we introduced in Vancouver was a new language screen that will live on every settings tab. It will display both your app language, otherwise known as the preferred language, and it will also show you your instance language. Your app language is configurable, and it's usually done by going to your device's settings to change, but we've made it more easily discoverable so that when you tap on your preferred language, it will take you directly to your app system's language settings. And so there is a bit of confusion on what is preferred language. And so we just made it much easier to discover, and we made it a lot more apparent. So when you tap on this, it'll just take you directly to your device's settings for you to change your app's language. Your instance language is not configurable. It will take you to, since this requires configuration on instance, but it is displayed to the user so that it indicates to them if their language is aligned between mobile and desktop. Okay. One other key note here is that the ServiceNow's preferred language can be different than your general's device language, but by default, your app will inherit your device's language preferences. But if it's manually changed, then you can have app languages be different than the language of your device's settings. Okay, if you're looking for configuration tips or guidance on how to change your instance language, this is available as a mobile app academy. If you just look up ServiceNow mobile app academy localization, mobile localization, you'll find a video to help guide you through that. Okay. Mobile support for right to left languages, otherwise known as RTL. This one's pretty straightforward. ServiceNow has added right to left text orientation to support more languages. We now have 22 supported languages, with Hebrew being our first RTL language in Vancouver. And we're also looking to support other RTL languages like Arabic in upcoming releases. Okay. Enhanced calendar for mobile. This is purely a UI enhancement, and there's no additional configurations needed. And so if you have a calendar that's existing inside your mobile apps, you'll notice that there's been some UI improvements. We've improved the performance for a better scrolling experience. This was a feature that we haven't touched since I think the initial creation of the mobile platform back in, I believe, Madrid or New York. And so it definitely was overdue for some improvements just so that the end users could have a better calendar experience. But we now introduced a new button that allows for better discoverability for creating new events and event creation flows. There's some improved UX to visualize your single and multi-day events. And we're also supporting user preference when it comes to first day of the week. And so if you wanted, this first day to change from Monday to Sunday or any other day, this is now possible in your settings. And then end users can also apply filters and add favorites to their views as well. If you want to see how this looks, you can easily go to try with a demo experience at the login screen of your agent or now mobile app. I believe the field service persona should have a calendar, which you can take a look. Okay. And then to wrap up some of our minor enhancements in Vancouver as well. First is we have Cabrillo support for uploading multiple files. And then we also have on the security fronts, configure mobile apps using a specific identity provider. We've allowed it so customers can configure a login experience that is specific to mobile and different than your web login experience. And so this will apply to customers who have specific login requirements depending on the persona of the user. If this applies to, we do have more information on product docs. WCAG accessibility enhancements. We have a lot of accessibility enhancements coming into Vancouver. We've added things like alternative text that can be applied to buttons that will enable the screen reader to read out the text of the button. We've redefined the screen reading order of mobile cards so it's easier to follow along. We've introduced things like banner display time. This will allow end users to control how long your banners will display. Things like push notification banners, system messages like approved, accepted, things like that. If you want to control how long that banner displays for, that is available on your settings tab. And then lastly, we have mobile SDK. We've added an additional use case that allows for guest support for the SDK. And this basically allows for users who aren't authenticated to be able to use your app. And this will just further increase the usage and promotion of it. But that pretty much wraps up our mobile platform deep dive for Vancouver. Any questions? Multi-role variable, is this supported in Vancouver? That is a use case that we've been looking into. It hasn't been prioritized yet, but I would recommend continuing to share that feedback on mobile community. Keep upvoting that idea on the idea portal. And I believe there is a workaround for this, although it's not ideal, but unfortunately it's still not supported in Vancouver. Any other questions? Before I take a few more questions, I do want to point out one last thing before people start leaving. This is super important and this is super powerful. This is our mobile research panel. This is actually an opportunity for you to influence our mobile product strategy. If you sign up, you'll have an opportunity to participate in interactive feedback sessions, and you'll be able to provide input on new designs and early concepts. You can share your thoughts, opinions, and insight through a very quick, brief survey. I believe it only takes a couple minutes to complete. And also, if it's permissible by your organization's policies, you'll also be eligible for an incentive for completing the survey. When it comes to sharing feedback, this is probably one of the most important and impactful ways for you to influence our roadmap directly. We are working with our mobile design team directly to incorporate as much feedback and for us to prioritize the most important use cases. And with this mobile research panel, this is helping a lot. So if you have just a couple minutes, please just scan this QR code, share your feedback, and let us know, what is most important to you. Are there any use cases that we're currently missing as a Vancouver? And what are those blockers? Because those are the things that we're really looking forward to learning about. Okay. Any other questions? Otherwise, I can wrap up with some additional resources to guide you along the way. Not seeing any questions, so let's go ahead and wrap up with some of these things here. Just to point you towards some resources that you can take advantage of to get started with your mobile implementations. If there's any specific feature that you want to learn more about, product docs is probably the first thing that I would look at. If there's any specific app that you want to learn about, again, check the product docs. If you're looking for demos, then you'll have to reach out to your account team and they'll involve the correct product teams. Just know that we are the mobile platform experts. And so we build the developer tools and all the components, but we're not necessarily experts on BU workflows. We don't know how they built their apps, and we're not the experts of their workflows. Next is we have the Now Learning site. This really covers all your mobile fundamentals. If you're completely new and you're just looking for some hands-on training using the app builder, we have many courses that are available to you. I will always guide people to use the mobile introduction course because I think this will show you all the courses that are available that's relevant to mobile. So definitely a great resource to have. And then, of course, you have community. This is a great online forum where you can access FAQs, find the latest updates and announcements, or ask any open-ended mobile question around your implementation. And then lastly, we have our How to Building series that we host once a month on the last Tuesday of every month called Mobile App Academy. In fact, this is an App Academy, but just taking on a different approach. We use this App Academy for this session to promote our latest Vancouver features. But just know that on our regular cadence, what we do is we show you the fundamentals on how to use the app builder, how you can customize and extend your mobile workflows using our platform concepts. And we do deep dives and show you best practices on how to configure key features and use cases. And we try to answer any questions that are reoccurring on the community as well. So definitely a session to promote to your counterparts. If you want a deeper dive, please join us next month on our next Academy. Any last questions before we wrap up? Oh, a question for Charity, actually. Will the Now Learning courses be updated soon for mobile? Do you have any insight on that, Charity?
Yeah, they should all be updated by the end of the year, but within the next week or two, the main ones like um, how to build an app and how to build a list screen and all of those will be updated within the next week or two. I'm having trouble with my dates. But the rest of them that exist out there will be updated by the end of the year. So everything will be updated to be congruent with all the mobile app builder updates through Vancouver.
Awesome. And then we have a quick chat link to today's PowerPoint. Since there are some hyperlinks on this PowerPoint, I'll go ahead and share this on mobile community. I'll go ahead and make a post on this where you can also access the recording. Okay. Question, do you support notifications in the app? Yes, so push notification is a native feature on our ServiceNow mobile apps. And if you look up mobile push notification ServiceNow, you'll find the documentation on how to access it. If you're asking, do you support notifications for mobile SDK? I don't think that's a relevant question because I think that's just a matter of does your own mobile app support notifications? Which I would assume yes, and so would need more clarity if I'm not answering the right question. But yes, we do support native push notifications. Any other questions? Give a quick second. Okay. Then let me end off by saying thank you all for joining us in our Vancouver update for mobile. I hope you found this session informative and helpful. And if you have any questions as you go through your mobile implementations, feel free to reach out to your account teams or send your questions on our mobile community site. And then we also have our next academy on next month as well. So thank you all for joining us today and for your interest in mobile, and hope to see you again in our next session. Thanks, everyone. Have a good one.